Wow, 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 wow. So excited to be back on Married Conversation, and it promises to be a great time tonight. Wow, wow, wow. Been quite a while that I engage in married conversation on Instagram Live, and I'm so delighted that tonight we are coming back to it. It's the 33rd edition of Married Conversations, and it promises to be a great time tonight. Tell someone to tell someone that Married Conversation is back on Instagram Live. I'm so delighted to be your host tonight. Like every other time, we've had fantastic topic to look at. Tonight, we're going to be looking at um, why and what makes a marriage break. Wow, a very, very deep one. And I'm so excited. I'm going to be doing this tonight with my one and only wife, my beloved wife. I think this will give us some better perspective and dual perspective, at least from the man's perspective and from the woman's perspective. So tonight we are in for a great, a great time, a great time. Okay, okay. Tonight I'm looking forward to a great time. Okay, tell someone to tell someone that the program is starting now, any moment from now. Wow. So, so excited to be back on Married Conversation, as I said earlier. And tonight promises to be an exciting and insightful one. Married Conversation has always been a weekly interaction every Friday, 8 p.m. This is the 33rd edition of Married Conversations. And each time, is either I go solo or I bring somebody to join me to have a robust discussion or conversation over the topic at hand. Tonight, I'm so excited that there's no other person that will be doing this with me other than my wife. So we're going to be looking at this topic from a very interesting perspective. So from my perspective, from my wife's perspective, I'm going to be doing this together. And I also want each and every one of you also to join us rather, in this conversation. It promises to be a great time tonight. I want to see the reason why so many marriages are not doing fine. It's a sad story, it's a sad tale, but tonight we want to bring our own little contribution so that we can extract this thing together. And I believe that after this tonight conversation, someone's life, someone's marriage will be better for it. Because when you know better, you do better. Okay. So it's very, very important that I like to bring in my wife to join me over this matter now. Okay. On this discussion. Okay, inviting her so that you can come on board. Wow. Madam, mostly of you. Yes, that's my baby.
Sorry, you saw my background. I'm still at work. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Hello. Good to be back and good to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How are you doing, babe?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
At least
I'm
for
so
the
excited.
reopening. Thank you for inviting me as the first guest.
Looking at something very interesting, but before we go into that, I'd like to welcome our friends that are joining us. I see Jerry Tolu, I see Flaky Zoo, I see Webex 20. Let me see other people I'm seeing now. I see Muyen Cares. I hope I got the name right. So, guys, I want to say thank you so much for coming on board. It's an interesting night we are having ahead of us, and I'm believing that by the time we're through with tonight's conversation, at least we will have both gained one or two insights into why and what makes a marriage break. Sweetheart, how are you doing? What's your take on
Great.
tonight's?
I think you should use your earphone because
Okay, you're not
looks like
hearing
the
me.
sound is ceasing.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see what I know. Okay, let me use my earpiece. about now? Is
Yeah,
it better?
it's much better. Yes, it is.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So, how do you do, babe? What's your first or your opening remark in the light of all these things we're talking about tonight? We're looking at marriage. Why, and what makes the marriage to break? Can you
Well,
hear me?
it's yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
It's what we all know that, marriage is not a child's play. It's something that is so beautiful but yet delicate.
Beautiful but
And
yet delicate.
yes, and then I'm gonna take a cue from someone that said marriage is like two farmers holding a hoe together to plow the land. Okay. Of course, the experiences of both will be different. The strength of both on the work will be different. How they are going to approach things will be different because they're two different people coming from two different places, working on the same thing and working on the same land. And someone also said, ready-made relationship does not exist. There's nothing like that. Like, it's all a bed of roses from the beginning and through the journey. There's nothing like that. Um, Truth of the matter is we all have our weaknesses and strengths, of which, we do not see until the journey of marriage starts. And then it begins to unfold itself. um it's like, a gift wrapped in a gift, wrapped inside a gift, and you keep unfolding, you keep unwrapping.
Different
I
layers.
mean, you keep unwrapping just like the onions, you keep peeling the layers. You don't even know what's in there. And truth of the matter is each layer has its own uniqueness, has its own strength, has its own challenges, has its own beauty, has its own thing. So, and as we talk about the weakness and strength of that we do not see as we go through the journey,
Yeah.
is also a truth and a fact that conflict are not signs of the fact that the devil is doing somebody somewhere. It is just the fact that there
It's
are
not about the
two
village
different.
people.
No, it's not about the village people. It's about the fact that there are two different people
Yeah.
coming from two different places, coming from different nurturing, coming from different nature, coming from different environment, different culture, different
Yeah.
people that influence their lives, and they're coming together. You know what that means? That
Yeah.
would take a whole lot of work. But
True.
understanding what it takes and being able to evolve into it is the
Yeah.
beauty of it. But this takes a whole lot of work. So I know we have a whole lot to talk about, and I'm just
Yeah.
excited. I
I'm
really look
excited
forward to
as
the
well.
conversation.
Yes, I'm so excited as well, especially with your opening remark as far the reality of the fact that when a man and a woman come together, they are two different nations or product of two different nations.
Yeah,
Nations, not necessarily country. I'm talking about two different backgrounds, and
yeah,
they are coming together, and it's not going to. They're not just going to fit into each other without friction.
yeah.
Now, the funny thing about the issue of marriage and the realities of today is that it does not really spare anyone, right
Mm,
from the upper class to the middle class to the lower class. You will see people that they've had it all. Jeff
yeah,
Bezos and his
yeah.
wife divorced recently. In fact, I read also that one of the wives of uh, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar also divorced him recently. Even people at that level still have issues with
Mm,
marriage. Then you want to talk about the middle class. Every now and then
yeah.
we hear about that. Your neighbor next door, and the
Mm-hmm.
lower class. You've seen even people in the lower class of life of the society still have issues
Yeah,
with marriage. You discover that it's everywhere. So you
yeah.
now discover that it does not spare. So it's not because whether you are rich or you are poor. It's a part
Mm-mm.
of life that of what
Yeah,
we
it
see.
is.
So this
It
is it.
is.
And
It is.
if you look into the world, so that's realities of reality. One of the major funny realities of our time. If you look into the statistics, globally speaking, it is found that 40% of forced marriages end in divorce, probably in
Mm,
less than 5 to 10 years of marriage, globally
mm.
speaking. And in some other countries, it's even as high as 60%. In fact, there was a particular
Wow.
statistic I came across that
Wow.
900,000 marriages in America in a particular year ended in divorce. And it's just on and on and on. In Nigeria, we do not have too much upside, but I came across a particular
Mm,
statistic statistic in Nigeria that says about 14% of marriages in Nigeria end in divorce. But as a therapist, as
And
a relationship and marriage counselor, I'm sure it's much more than that. Because in this part of the world, we do not have data, correct data, or
statistics,
efficient data gathering. And also because a lot of people in this part of the world do not even get married legally. So even when they separate, they don't even bother to do it officially because they didn't even have any legal backing for their marriage in the first instance. So this is the reality of our days and of our time. Divorce is rife, and it does not really make marriage interesting for many, especially the younger generation coming. They are looking at, this is not what I want to put my head into. But I also want to let people know that for every marriage that is not working, there are also 1 or 2 or 3 other marriages that are doing well. Unfortunately, bad news spread faster. Unhealthy news, so good news or negative things seems to spread faster than positive news. And that's why it is news anyway. So, but tonight is our desire that we can both extray, and even as our listeners, those of us are joining us in tonight's conversation, we want to look at why and what makes a marriage break. So for me, as we get this off the ground, is the first thing I want us to look at tonight. I understand that every marriage, reasons for why a marriage will break is as unique as every marriage is unique. We can have 1,001 reasons why marriages are not working. But tonight, I want us to first of all start on this particular strong note. Why and what? To me, they are two different things entirely. On the face value, look as if they are the same. The why marriages are not working, to a very large extent, by my own understanding, is deeper than what are the things that make marriage not to work. And that's why it will lead us to the first thing we want to look at. Because if you do not understand the whys, you cannot even fully you can't have a full grasp of the what. So tonight, I think the important thing we also need to possibly look at is, why do we get married in the first instance? Why do people get married? And I think if we can understand and answer the question why, it will enable us to be able to know why marriages are not working. Because why it's breaking. Why marriages are breaking. The why is first of all is the reason behind your decision to marry that person. Or what do you think about that?
Correct. So just like you said it, for us to get to the root of why it's breaking, we need to get to the foundation and to the beginning, which is why do we get married in the first place? Because the why gives us the reason why we're in it, and then it takes us to the root of what is making it break. So it's a big deal for us to say why, because if you ask me, why did I go into marriage? I'll tell you, it will take me back. Okay, why did I get married? And why my husband? Why the kind of person I'm married to now?
Or maybe I can quickly say this so that those listening to us can know where we are coming from. That the why marriages break is because we've lost touch with why we got married in the first instance. As a matter of fact, a lot of people do not even have or know the why they got married.
Correct.
So marriages are breaking today because we've lost touch with the reason why we got married. Many people got married for the wrong whys, for the wrong reasons. So once the why cannot be settled, the why is the power. The why is what motivates everybody.
It's the foundation, it's the strength.
I tell people that if you want to look at this, you can categorize it to about 3 things. Number 1, the foundational issues, the situational issues, and the progressive issues that brings about marriage. Marriage is not standing the test of time. But the first attention I want to draw attention, as we want to draw attention of our participants tonight, is that why? Why did you get married? Why did I get married? Why you? Why me? So I don't even want to take it away from here.
So if I would let me just take myself as an example. If you ask me why I got married, if I think back, and I think it's something talked about on this platform before. I came from a very dysfunctional home. When I say very, I mean functionality was 0%. I mean 0%. My parents separated when I was just 2 years old. I didn't know what mom and dad is like. Oh, mom is back. Dad is. I didn't know. I
That is
didn't know
back.
what that was. I mean, there was no love. I didn't understand what parental care. Someone looking out for you. Someone telling you that I love you. I didn't have the emotional support system while growing up. So all of those, there was no. I was, as a matter of fact, I am the. I don't always like to say last born, but I'm the
Well, you are.
fourth. I'm the fourth out of four, and they always say that the last
Okay,
born,
you
is the
try to
most
exempt the one
pampered.
your brother that is late. Okay, fine.
Yes. So they always say that the last born is the most pampered. And I'm like, I don't
Well,
even know what
unfortunately,
pampering is. I mean, I always say that I grew up in like a military zone, like the barracks, a harsh and strict environment where nobody
yeah.
cares. So I grew up quickly. I matured quickly. So I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when I was 12 years old, I told myself that I'm not going to get married. When I was 12, and I remember vividly, I was seated, I was living with a family, and I was seated in my bedroom that very day, and I was just crying. I was crying, I was just shedding tears. And I sat there innocently at
Mm.
12. I mean,
Wow.
at 12. It would tell you how much I had seen, how much I had experienced, and how much I had grown, how much my mind had absorbed from
Yeah. The environment.
what was called marriage, and from the environment that I was coming from. And I sat there that fateful day and I said to myself, God, I will not get married. I don't want to get married. I don't want any man in my life. And I said that very day, I remembered very well. And I said to myself that even if I want children, I will adopt children. But rather than get married, I will stay alone because marriage meant nothing to me then. My parents separated when I was 2. Every day where I was living, I was seeing the husband and wife fight practically every day. At 12, a number of times I would separate fights. And I would just sit there. I became a sadist. I mean, I became somebody else. I
Wow.
used to say this, that if I had not grown in that environment, maybe I won't I won't be so much of an introvert. I'll probably be a lively person, but then it was just what it was then.
It was.
So at that point, I said to
Yeah.
myself that I was going to get married. But you ask me, but you're married today. How did you do
Yes.
it?
Now. So why? Why did you get married?
How did you
Because
come
we
there?
come to realize
So
that
that's where
once
I'm
we
going
understand
to.
why we get married, it
Yes.
will help us
So
understand why marriages are breaking.
when I got into the high institution, everything began to change. When I got
Okay.
into the institution, I joined a fellowship, I joined a school fellowship, and I began to feel loved by people. I mean, people were giving me attention.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters in the fellowship, they will look out for you, they will call you, they will check up for you. It was
Yeah.
strange to me. Like, it wasn't what I was used
It
to.
was a new order entirely.
It was
The new
a
world.
new order. So I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So, okay, so people can actually look out for you. You can feel loved. I mean, it was, that changed
Yeah.
the whole of my
Your
life.
perspective. Your
So I
perspective.
am going to give an example. It's more like when you put a bottle full of Coke
Yeah.
underneath a tap water and you let the tap water begin to run into that
The
bottle
cook.
of Coke. Over
Yeah.
time, you will notice that the color won't be dark brown anymore. It will become white because
Yeah.
over time,
Over
the
time.
water will wash out the Coke content. So that was what was beginning to happen to me. The perspective of the fact that marriage was rubbish, was nothing, was meaningless, was not important to one's
Yeah.
life and to purpose and to destiny, it began to erase. And my
Yeah.
perspective was changing. And funny enough, school now,
Okay.
school fellowship,
Wait in a
there will
minute.
always be,
Wait a minute. I want to welcome those. I see Beta Chioma saying first time joining. Thank you, Beta, for joining. We appreciate you for joining. I see Feed Good Catering, Tolix underscore Ventures, Olasheni Israel, Dr. Olorunfunmi Bamigboye, Lefty is Bay. I see Dr.
That's
Adeniyi.
Alex.
Yes, okay, now I see the wise Joe One, Tolu Ogundimu, as many other people that have joined us. Thank you so much for joining the
Thanks for
conversation.
joining us.
Thank you so much. Just getting it started. Well, we've come
So,
to realize that marriages break because people lose touch with the why they got married.
yeah,
So we are looking at
yeah.
why did my wife got married to me. So she was telling us her story. Okay, go ahead, babe.
So, like I was saying, and then,
Yes.
I began to feel like, oh, so people can be loved. I mean,
Yeah,
it was so strange to me. So my perspective began to change. And school fellowship now,
yeah,
there's something they call Brothers and Sisters Day,
yeah,
There's
yeah.
something they call Relationship and Marriage
Day,
Day, where they talk
day.
about, all of those
Bring
things. I'm
guest
like,
ministers
okay,
to
okay.
come and talk
And
about
you know that
relationship.
because the relationships I had in the fellowship it had begun to impact me
Yeah,
positively. I
yeah,
I began to feel that okay, so people can be this nice, people can actually give you attention. My
so you,
emotion, I felt like I was beginning to have emotional support system, people I could
yeah,
talk to, people I could cry to, people I could, just lean on
yeah,
emotionally. And that, of course, that was where I met you now. And then
yes,
we
definitely.
became friends.
Oh boy,
Even though then when they say nurture is strong, my nurturing it still had a strong grip
yeah,
over me. But then my perspective
started
had
changing.
already changed. And I'm like, okay. So it informed me that the kind of man I want is the kind of man that would love me, show me pamper. I mean, be there for me, support me.
Yeah,
Not a man that would keep me in the harsh, strict, and tough environment that I was coming from.
yeah.
That was the first thing that informed the kind of man and the why that
So,
I got
in a
married.
nutshell, why did you want to get married? You've
So
been
why I
your
wanted to get married
perspective.
was
Okay.
what I didn't have when I was growing up. I wanted to have it in marriage. And I was
Yeah.
so determined. I told myself that I didn't have parental care. I didn't have parental love. Nobody was there for me when I was growing up. I felt like I was in the world of my own. You know, I didn't explore that particular period of my life. I didn't explore it enough because of the kind of environment I was. So I told myself, this is what I'm looking for. And this is kind of man I want to marry. And this is why I want to marry the person. Because what I didn't have when I was growing up, I want to have it in marriage.
Beautiful. If I may come in here, so for you, it's been 13 years been married, about
Yes.
about 16 or 17 years of friendship. So your why ab initio was that you wanted what you lacked, what you missed growing up, and it informed the kind of person you're looking out for.
Yes. Yes.
So it does
So,
not matter whether the guy was handsome, it does not matter whether
yes.
he's rich, it does not
Yes.
matter whether
Exactly.
he has any other thing,
Yes.
in as much
Yes.
he
That
has the
was my
traits
focus.
that could meet the need in your
Yes.
heart, the understanding
So
of why
so
you want
so
to
let
get
me
married.
say this. Let me quickly say this. I remember very well that, of course, you were the one of the very spiritual brothers in the fellowship. At some point I said to myself, like, I doubt, will this guy be able to tell me he loves me? Because those are the things I didn't hear when I was growing up. So I wanted to
Okay.
hear those things, even though now I know it, but you don't have to say it because I know it. But then those are the things I was considering, like, I hope this person looks very spiritual. But then inside of me, because of my mentality and because I could tell this is the kind of person I can live with. This is not the kind of person I can live with because my growing up was so hard. I could tell, even though you were very spiritual, you didn't look like someone that would be romantic and someone that would really show care and love, but I could tell that you had it because that was my focus and that was what I was looking for. And so, yeah,
Okay. Thank
here
you so
we
much,
are.
sweetheart, for sharing. And that, as a marriage and relationship therapist, what you just said is so profound. Because why I sit with husband and wife intending couples, or even especially married couples doing post-marital counseling, couples counseling, I see the reason why a lot of marriages are not doing well is because ab initio there was no whys. There's no reason.
identifiable reason. People had no core identified or identifiable reasons for getting married. And people that also had it, they had a lot of wrong reasons why they're getting married.
Correct. Yes.
Wrong
Yes.
reasons. Now,
Yes.
because once your why is warped, once your why is wrong,
Yes.
marriage reality will come to the table. And when marriage realities come to the table, because the why is wrong, for example, somebody getting married solely because the person is pretty. I'm not against,
Or because person is
for
rich.
me, for me, I do not have any problem marrying beautiful. So my wife is a beautiful person and a good-looking person. The beauty, to say, is the eyes of the beholder. But I also understand that in the school of marital bliss, what you have is inferior to who you are.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So when people marry for the wrong reason, that marriage is as good as dead, even before it gets started at all. Now, if you ask me, why did I marry? Because the whys of doing anything is what keep you in that thing. You've
Correct.
seen people in situations, maybe in job or in career, that at the moment it's not paying off. The situation is bad. But because they understood their why,
Yes.
they kept on.
Yes.
They remain steadfast in it. Your why is the conviction, is the reason behind getting to marry. If you ask me, for
Yes.
this, it was because you want marriage, that because you want what you lacked while growing up. For me, I married because of purpose. Purpose, what do I mean by that? This, before I came to the institution, I had the understanding that every individual has got a life purpose. That there is something, just like every item you see around you. There's what is purpose? The intended use. That everything has gotten an intended use by the maker. So I know I have a maker. So I understand that there's a reason behind my existence before I got to campus. So it was in the era of the purpose discovery engagement, like people like Miles Moreau, Pastor Bimbo Bukoya too was doing a lot of great work in those days. Miles Moreau's book on purpose and the kingdom was everywhere. So before I gained admission, I had this understanding that every individual has got a purpose. And I've understood that that purpose is a great assignment that you have as an individual. There is something your life is meant to achieve, to fulfill on this part of life. And if that must happen, marriage is a major, your partner, your spouse, whoever comes into your life, is a major factor in you succeeding in fulfilling that purpose. So that was the notion in my head. So while I was looking out for who to marry, what was in my head was, and having had that self-discovery, understood who I, to a very large extent, I'm still knowing myself, but I had the basic knowledge of who I am. So it informed the kind of woman I was looking out for.
And
so
why
now that
you
I'm
wanted
married,
to get married.
and why I wanted to get, so I wanted to get married to someone that can help me attain and fulfill that my life purpose and life assignment. So see what we are doing today. And 30 years down the line, you've never ceased one beat. And that's the reason why many people are having issues in marriage. Because once the why is not right, once the reason why you are getting to marriage is not correct, or once you do not identify the reason why you are getting married to this person, there's nothing driving, there's no conviction behind why you are coming to this relationship with this person. Once the realities of marriage come, issue of finances, and that leads up to the what. So the what are the things that happen when the whys have been thrown out. So the what that makes marriage break are the things. And as Riley discussed the other time before we came on board was that the what are the things needed to nurture your why. Now, for example,
so I'm going to add to just what you're trying to say, because the why is not enough.
Yeah.
When the
So
why
even though you
is
know
not,
their why, it's strong, it's powerful, but because of the reality of marriage and the uniqueness of what marriage is, then there's now one thing that is needed to be done.
When the why is not nurtured, when the why is not nurtured, there is tendency that what makes it break begin to show itself.
Definitely.
So it is not just about the why, and it's also, it's the nurturing your why is important. If I'll tell you that,
welling it, watering it.
Yes. So let me say this. My why was because I didn't have a growing up that was, to me,
A
was
functional family
interesting.
setup.
I didn't have a functional family, functional, yeah. I grew up in a dysfunctional home. Now, I wanted to have
Something
that
functional.
in marriage. Now, I saw that in the kind of man that I met.
Okay.
Now, what will make me have it in marriage? What will make me have what I'm looking for? I need to be the right person. I need to live the right way for me to be able to get that. I'm looking for a way to explain this. I need to be able to be the kind of person that would earn that naturally from you, even though that's who you are. Even though I know that you have potential
For it.
to treat me right, to treat me like a queen. But if I don't do what I need to do as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, I might not get what I'm looking for. So there is a place of nurturing the why of getting into marriage.
And you see, it's very, very important for people to know why I sit with husband and wife in the counseling sessions. I've come to realize that hardly will you have any relationship breaking without both parties having faults.
Correct.
So that's why it informed that there's a kind of person you must become.
Yes.
There's a place for growth. There's a place for evolution.
Yes.
There's the kind of person you must become, number one, to attract that kind of person. Now, you needed to become the kind of person that I feel can fit into purpose. Purpose was the reason I want to get married. Functional home was the reason why you wanted to get married. You saw the potential that this guy can make functional home possible. But I need to see in you that you're the kind of woman that can make purpose possible. So there was an alignment. Now there was an alignment. So another reason why it's not in place is that there will be lack of alignment. And truth be told, many marriages are breaking today because there is no alignment. And alignment is not taking place because they are also not nurturing that marriage. Now, so it's not enough. Number one fundamental truth we've established today is that you must understand your why you are getting married. So I want to challenge every married man, every married woman tonight listening to us, or whoever, even if you are single. Do you want to sit and say, why did I marry my wife? Why did I marry her in the midst of so many other options that I
Or why do I want to get married?
Or why
to
do
the
I want to
person?
get married to the person? If you are single, you need to first establish why do I want to get married? Because once you do not establish the reason why you want to get married, it will be easy when the realities of marriage is certain. Financial issues, sickness, health issues. Even those that understood their whys, even when they go through some challenging situations, even as difficult issue as infidelity, they still find a way to make it work. I do not subscribe to infidelity, but I'm just saying that what makes wife of marriage strong is because
it sustains the why.
It can help you to weather the storm.
Yes.
And now that you have established the why, you must nurture the why. And the nurturing of the why are the things that it takes to make marriage work. And those are the things we now call what are the things that break a marriage. Once the things that you need to nurture your marriage are not in place. For example, communication. Communication. So we will look at those things one after the other now. What are the things needed to nurture that marriage? Because once those things are not there, even if your why is there, it will make it difficult for that marriage to stand the test of time.
Yes.
And communication.
So the lack of the lack of the things that helps us to nurture is actually what brings about the breaking of the marriage.
True.
I get that. You know, and when talking about communication, I remember someone saying that quietness is different from patience. Quietness is different from patience. And quietness, you know, in a lot of circumstances, it's what bring about a very bad communication system in a relationship.
Because you are not being
Quietness, you are patient. That does not mean that when you need to talk, when you need to express yourself, when you need to, you know, give an appropriate communication in a particular circumstance. Exactly, communicate. You talk about it. You talk about it in the right way. Communication is key. Someone gave an example of, you know, a guy that married a woman that loves pepper. She can eat raw pepper, while the guy does not like pepper at all. I mean, at all. And when the lady cooks, the guy What is it called?
Running
He's having
nose.
katawa. He's having runny nose while eating. He's having runny nose while eating. You know, and the wife is like, "Honey, are you okay?" He say, "Oh yeah, I'm okay. Are you enjoying the food? Oh, your food is fantastic." Whereas he's dying inside with Pepe.
And it's not expressing
It's as
himself.
simple as, and he's not expressing himself. And there are grave issues. I mean, there are issues that are deeper than even the food.
You see,
That
what
the
what
best
makes
way we can deal with it is to talk about them.
what makes communication powerful in a relationship is because it's the live wire of marriage. It's the cross of any relationship, apart from even marriage relationship, whether in the place of work, whether in the place of trade, whether among friends, among siblings.
Yeah, yeah,
Communication is the
yeah,
live wire. The funny
yeah.
thing about it is that, or is it funny? The big thing about communication is that all other reasons for marriage failure are one way or the other
Connected to communication.
interconnected, rooted to breakdown of
Yes,
communication.
yes.
For example, you're having an issue with your sexual relationship with your wife or with your husband, and you are not communicating it. You are not vulnerable. You don't want to express your emotions. There are things going on, and you pile it up. And funny thing about emotion is that emotions don't go away until you do something about it. So
Correct.
people live in denial. They say, don't worry.
Yes.
Because people also conducted themselves in a way that some people have this kind of master-servant relationship in a love affair, where the wife is not free to express herself. Some have
Yes.
become like tyrannical leader in their own home. Some women also have become so strong-hearted, so stubborn, quote and unquote, that
Yes.
even the man is afraid. "Ah, if I express my view, she can
I
just
don't know
flare
what's
up.
going to
I don't know
happen.
what's good."
Yes.
So when that happens and one party or both parties are not expressing the
Yes.
realities of what is happening in their
Yes.
marriage, they are bound to have issues. Communication, we have issues. We create communication that is not effective or that is not sound enough, will create a lot of underlying issue for that marriage. I don't know, for those listening to us, if you want to share with us, I will really appreciate you chatting with us. Why did you get married? You can drop the chat with us so that we can. So once you can talk in a way your partner or your spouse understand, all that is left is unproductive argument and growing resentment. And when there's
Yeah.
resentment, bitterness, it's only a matter of time. People begin
Yes.
to drift apart. And
Yes.
in 6 months, in 1 year, in 2 years, in 5 years, you couple with the fact that life realities also happen. Financial
Yeah.
challenges, children,
Yeah.
parenting,
Which
and
you don't
the
have
demands of.
control over.
So at the end of the
Yes.
day, you discover that love beds have become hate beds. And you wonder, how did we get here? And
What
one day the woman
happened?
had just had it here, or the man said, look, I've had enough. And it all started out because somebody is not talking, or somebody is talking badly, or somebody is not talking enough, or somebody is not expressive enough. Communication is a big deal. I don't know whether I want to look at any other reason. Those are
So another reason, which brings us to the what makes marriage break. And
break.
don't
Yeah,
forget where we're coming from is that when the why is not nurtured, it brings us
yeah,
to the place of what makes the marriage break.
yeah.
Okay. The first thing we talk about is communication. Another thing that I would like to say is unrealistic expectation. This one
That's the root,
I mean,
a root
this
of
one
conflict in
is a
marriage.
strong one. This one is a strong one. Do you know why? Because a lot of a lot of us forget that both parties are coming from two different places.
Yeah,
I mean, two different places. So you're expecting that, for example, you maybe the wife is done eating, probably where she's
yeah.
coming from. The parents packed the plate for her, and she just seated there at the dining, and um maybe she's like, "Honey, can you help me with my plate?" Like, you're so disrespectful. Me help you
And
with
to
your
him, that's
plate.
what disrespect
You
means.
are supposed to pack my plate, not me helping you with your plate. And that's a man coming from a home that they're like,
They make obeisance to
everybody's,
the father.
there is
Oluwa
no,
mero.
you understand? So,
You know,
so it's just a big deal when you're expecting her to, and that's where communication also comes in. You let
Yes,
her
that's what we
know
said
that
earlier on. That
it's
every
so
other reasons you
interwoven.
want to mention, any other
I'm
reason you want to
telling you,
mention, is
communication is
related to communication.
connected.
Whether it's
So connected. So
unfulfilling
connected.
sexual relationship,
Yes. So
expectations,
yeah.
in as much you do not communicate, you're going to have. See, when we talk about
So the
unexpected,
expectation
sorry,
is
sorry, can I come in here?
yes.
When we
Yes,
talk
yes, yes, you
about
can.
unrealistic expectation, the problem is that a lot of time people have low preparation for marriage and have high
Mm,
expectation in marriage.
in
Now, when we also
marriage.
talk about
Mm,
unrealistic expectation, is that without doubt we are creature of need. Unrealistic
yes.
expectation, unmet
Yes.
needs. These are major reasons for conflict in marriage. That if it's not well managed and well handled, it will lead to
Mm,
isolation. Now, so when needs are not met, because we are creature of needs, we have financial
yes.
need, material need,
Yes.
emotional need, social need, sexual need, physical
Yes.
needs. So when you look around you, the person you want to meet those needs, the one person is your spouse. So we have this
Yes.
high expectation of them. But unfortunately, people also forget that no human being can meet your need 100%.
Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
and the earlier we understand this, the better. No human
Yes.
being can meet your need, including your
Yeah.
spouse.
All your
No,
needs. Yes.
and that is where communication comes to play. That is,
Yes.
once we express ourselves and we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, relationships should
Yes.
be among friends. I tell people that
Yes.
good marriage is a marriage where friends, you marry your friend, or you
Mm-hmm.
make the person you marry your friend. That is,
Mm-hmm.
even if you are not friends, you are not party, you don't have each other
Yes.
before
You make the
you got
person your
married,
friend.
you must work
Mm.
towards it. And one of the things, okay,
Yes.
your friends, what do you do with your friends majorly? Is that you talk.
You gist.
As friends, you gist.
Gist.
So you
Jugbebo.
gist. You gist. So when your wife is your friend, your husband is your friend, you gist. Ah, babe, honestly, that night, you try at all. Wait till I do now. You wait, I just do one, you don't dey sleep, you don't try. You are telling her that look, I desire much more from our sexual
That's it.
engagement, but you slept off. Ah, the food wey you cook last night no nice. So may I tell you true, you no sweet at all. Ah, me, which day you dey you fit cook, and you gist, you
Yeah.
laugh over it. What
Yeah.
ordinarily could have been a major source of disagreement become a thing you gist about. You, and even in the midst of your anger, if you
Yeah.
ever had a friend that you lash out at each other after you on campus, those is your friend, you lash out at each other after some minutes.
Yeah.
Why are you still body now? You are still body. What's wrong with you? And you get back to talk.
I think
So
one of the things that I just remembered now, I think before we got married, I really used to get angry quickly. I mean, my anger span was very short.
it's
I mean,
it's understandable because of where you're coming from, because of the
yeah.
fact
So
that
I really
from the
used to get angry
dysfunctionality that
quickly.
produced you. Yeah.
So, but over time, in the span of the years that I've been married, of course, it's obvious that it has it has reduced drastically. Now it's just easily I can just overlook things. I can just move on. Like, and not that I'm moving on because I'm keeping them in my mind, but I can easily get over them. Like, guy, what is your problem? And I can
And you
easily
laugh,
express
laugh and
myself,
gist about it.
and then we just get over it. And that's a good thing, about expressing oneself to each other. There will always be
Marriage should be a
expectations
place,
you
yes,
can
you can
never meet.
express
There
yourself.
will always be
There,
needs that the other
you
party
know,
can
human
never meet.
being, it's been 13 years, you've not met my
Yes.
needs 100%, and I'm sure I've not
Yes.
met your needs 100%. So when couples understand that no man or woman can meet your expectation
Yeah.
100%, you talk about it, you work towards
Yes.
it to get better,
Yes.
you evolve, you grow. But
Yes.
when these are not
Yes.
met, they are not communicated, it's a recipe for disaster. It's a matter of time. That
Yes.
marriage is going to have
Yes.
issues. Let's talk about another thing because of time. I want us
Yes.
to
So
look
that,
at
that was what
for
I was going to say,
preparation.
that the time
Yes,
is
for yes,
fast
the time is fast,
running
fast,
fast. Yes.
poor preparation, lack of
Yes.
readiness for marriage. Many people
Mm.
are in crisis today. Marriages are not standing test of time because have been issue. The man and the woman that came into the marriage, or either of them,
Mm.
or maybe one of both of them, was
Mm.
not prepared for it.
Yes.
Marriage is a big deal. It has a lot of responsibilities and privileges. And once
Mm.
you are not prepared, marriage is for men. It's not for boys. It's for girls, and not for what? It's for women, not for girls. It
Yeah.
demands physical maturity, emotional maturity,
Yeah.
psychological maturity. In fact,
Yeah.
in all areas of life. So many people are not ready. Because how do you know you are not ready? because they concentrate on mundane things,
Yeah, that's it.
on things that do not
That's
stand
it.
test of time.
Yes.
They are not mature
Yes.
for it. So many people are not
Mm.
prepared. Some are in age, they have the age, but they do not have the mental preparation for
Maturity,
marriage.
mental
They do not.
capacity.
Yes, they do not have the mental capacity for marriage. They didn't. They
Mm.
do not have the necessary wherewithal, understanding of what marriage is, and that also
Mm.
talks about lack of right understanding, lack of the right perspective, lack of
Mm.
self-awareness,
Mm.
self-identity,
Mm.
self-discovery. And that is
Yeah.
what led to the wrong why in the first instance. You know, we said
Yes.
the major
The
problem
wrong
why
reason.
marriages are breaking is because people do not know their why. They do not know why they
Yes.
got married in the first instance. Or if
Yes.
they know
Yes.
the why was a wrong one. So
Yes.
the assignment for today is that go back home. Why did I marry this man? Sit down in a
Yes.
quiet place and think through. Why did I marry this person in the first instance? And if you look at it, it's either the wise you marry the person is a wrong one. For example, marry
Yes.
for money, marry because the person help you, marry based on pity, or maybe because you're a
Mm.
down moment at a point of life, or because of family pressure. I'm getting old, everybody
Yes.
is getting married around me,
Yes.
let me marry. Or because I
Yes.
feel this person has money. You marry
Mm.
for wrong reasons. And if truly you marry for the right reason, the reason why that marriage is having issues is because you are not nurturing why you married.
Yes. Yes.
Are you getting me? You are not
Yes.
nurturing it. So poor
Mm.
preparation, they say poor preparation, proper preparation prevent poor performance. If you are not plan,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't plan, if you don't, it's that, nobody plan to fail, but the only, I don't put it now, nobody plan to fail, they only fail to plan. So if you don't have proper
Yeah.
preparation for marriage, eventually it's going to affect that marriage. I don't know if I want to mention another thing before we wrap it up tonight.
Just to mention this, we talked about marrying for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Marrying for the wrong reasons, of course, is one of the things that makes a marriage to break in the long run. Until you come to that point to discover yourself, like, why did I get married? And you want to realign yourself.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you get into it, you just have to look for a way, like sit yourself down and look at it again. Okay, bring everything to the table, display it on the table, and begin to look at it one after the other. So, one of the things I'll just like to say is marrying for the wrong reasons never sustains any marriage. Never, never, ever, ever. That's, so for a lot of us that were already into it, and we're moving on into it. Next week,
Sorry,
we're
before you
going to
go
have
on,
something. Yes.
somebody is saying something better. Dot Choma said, "Ma, I discovered that some people have issues at old age. Why?" Now, if you look at it
Mm.
very well, one of the places where you come to see the benefit of marriage is when you begin to when in your old age. That's where it
Yes.
now
And
dawn
begin to
on
get
you
older.
the place of companionship. In fact, it has been
Yes.
discovered that a lot of men that were very movie jumping up and down at a point when they get old is then they now realize the, their mistakes and begin to appreciate their
Yes.
wives the more.
Yes.
Because by the time you get to that old age when you don't have the energy to jump from pillar to post anymore, and you are now in
Yes.
the empty nest season when all your children
Yes.
are now grown, you are now
Yes.
grandpas and grandmas, is when you now see the beauty of a good marriage. When both of you
Yes.
now help each other, you are now old and things like that.
Correct.
But the reason why many people are having issues at old age is that the issue didn't begin at old age. The issue began long before old age. It's an offshoot or the eventual consequence of the issues we are talking about. When you didn't nurture your marriage, go ahead, please.
Let me give you an example. So, when she talked about it's when some people get older, that's when they have issues. Number one thing that could have been happening is one of them suppressing it and not talking about it.
Over time. Most of the time,
Number
the
two,
women, yeah,
Number two, the women use the children to cover up. They've just
yes. They just
a
keep
lot of
coping,
women would say to you,
tolerating the marriage. It's just because of my
yes,
children.
I'm going to focus on my children. I'll train my children and they'll be okay. When the children grow up, get
And they are not
married,
independent.
remains the both of you, then everything begins to unfold. all the covering up, all the overlooking, not talking about it, not
That was our
communicating.
motivation in the first instance.
I'm telling you, the children are not there. She's always in their room gisting with, instead of her being in her husband's room gisting with her husband. You know, they're not there.
True, so true, so true.
So that's one of the major things that happen in old age. So
there's a clarion call tonight. The reason why husband and wife even need to settle and resolve their issues to avoid their marriage breaking, because like what Beta Dochoma raised tonight, issue of old age.
Yes.
In old age, that is when you see the major need for companionship in marriage.
That's it.
You being friends with your spouse. At that time, emptiness season, your children are gone, and that's when you want to see the investment you've made in that marriage over the years. And as you rightly said, in this part of the world, because of patriarchy, a very patriarchal environment we are in, most of the time the women have been suppressed over the years and submit, and the man feels after all, they must dance to my tune, and you are not nurturing your relationship with your wife. I'm sorry to say to you, you see, at old age, the children will be taking care of their mother. Before they give you one, they will give their mother 10. So you are just setting yourself up for the old age, you know. And women, to a very large extent, the way women have been created, they have the capacity to survive things more than men in that regard. Women, that's why you see, even after, for example, after a woman is widowed, she can start to live the rest of her life without getting married. Hardly will you see a man that his wife died that will remain like that without getting married. Because biologically and genetically, a woman is different from a man. The tenacity level of women in weathering the storm, the issues of life, to a very large extent, differ from that of men. So men will need a lot of companionship, and women also need. But from what we're seeing and the reality of life, you discover that women seem to have the capacity to weather the storm, especially in the issue of companionship, than men. And that's why, as a man, you want to treat your wife right. And as a woman, you want to pay attention to your relationship. Both of you want to work out those underlying issues. A time will come, because women most of the time, they sacrifice a lot. And that's why a wise man will celebrate his wife. A wise man will appreciate and validate his wife. And look out for ways to make the marriage work. Because women will eventually, at times, women will sacrifice their career for nurturing of the children. And immediately the children have come of age. If she's not enjoying the marriage, you say, look, now I have time for myself. I want to do it for myself. But if you have a marriage that is healthy, where the man and the woman understand the place of give and take, giving each other the opportunity to breathe and to express their individuality, even though they are one, you'll be surprised that by the time they get old, they will be doing fine. They will be doing fine. So let's raise one more reason why marriages don't work. I don't even want to say it before we call it.
So we have character issues. You know, all of us grew up. All of us grew up in different.
Another kettle of fish. That one is
just like my husband will say that I don't remove my slippers from the door when I enter.
Even till now, with that for years. But we have decided to move on with. No, that was not even character. That is that one character. No, that was even,
okay. That's an habit anyway.
For example,
that's probably like an habit.
For example, a woman that has a very, very, I don't know the right word to use, the way she talks, maybe growing up, she talking anyhow, insulting people, very insulting.
And nobody corrected her.
Or a man that has addiction issue with maybe drugs or alcohol, coming back home drunk. So some people we call them what they call maladjusted character, or a man that has what the tendency to be domestically violent, that beat up his wife. There are women also that commit domestic violence. These things I'm a therapist. We hear all these things in counseling sessions. People have personal vices. Their personal demons they are dealing with. That's what I talk about readiness for marriage all the time. There are some things that you must let go if you must be married and remain in marriage. Vices, personal vices. And some people, the case is even worse because they don't even want to get help. For example, somebody is suffering with an addiction, and yet does not want to get help. And the wife is just managing and struggling and struggling. The time will come that she'll be fed up.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. Okay, what about the issue of sexual infidelity, misbehavior, infidelity? Can you imagine that some men can't even take it? Even the house girl, they are pursuing neighbor's wife. You know, personal demons that people are dealing with, these are critical issues. That's why I talk about your whys. If you understand your why should
Yes.
motivate you to work on those things
Yes.
that are not right. It will
That's when
encourage
the
you to
why
become,
is right.
when the why is right.
Yes, when the why is
I see
right.
Dr. Lauren Fumi 2020 says that is where you see your investment in marriage. Lovely point. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for that. Many thanks to you, madam and sir. Okay, thank you. Okay, we've talked about character issues. Any other thing want to talk about character issues? No, when we talk about character issues, especially for young people, singles that are yet to be married, the character you see in marriage are not coming from heaven. It has always been there. You see people overlooking obvious red flags. What are red flags? Warning signs. Warning signs. Because somebody that is domestically violent must have been showing some traces before you got married. Maybe you went
Correct.
for a date and is already slapping the waitress or fighting the bus conductor, or he had a minor accident on road rage and things like that. The way he talks to his mother, the way he talks to his sisters, his family, his siblings, his friends. Maybe he even have a physical fight with one of his friends before. Obvious red flags. The person that becomes violent does not become violent overnight. A lady that's probably promiscuous in marriage,
Yes.
that's committing fidelity, you must have seen the
Yes.
signs before getting married. But most of the time, people are under a lot of pressure. I will change him. I will change her. So character issues, character flaws are major issues there eventually. So if there's anything, you want to sit down and just take a pen
Yeah.
and do a
Yeah.
self-evaluation.
Yes.
You yourself know yourself. I myself know myself. What are the bad character,
Yeah.
negative
Yes.
traits that I need to
Yes.
work on? Make a list. Be objective
So do you
and
also
look at it
know
very
that
well.
there are sometimes some people don't know that their bad character is a bad character.
That's
So
what we call lack
sometimes
of self-awareness.
I'm telling you,
Lack of
so
self-awareness.
sometimes when people point it out to you, like, I feel
You
this
should
thing you're
sit down
doing,
and
you should
look at
sit
it
down
again.
and look at it again.
Especially one, two, three, four
If
persons saying the
someone
same
does
thing.
that to me, if someone behaves like that to me, how am I going to react? What am I going to say? Or how will I feel? And it also the character issue also brings me to a point where we as parents, when we see a character that a child is beginning to express that
Exhibiting.
it is not
Correct it.
right, let's correct it. Because
Yeah.
that is a potential marriage that is evolving in future.
Yes. Because it's going to be somebody's wife or somebody's husband.
Yeah, it's going to be somebody's wife or somebody's husband. So it's
Okay,
our
can I also
job, it's
bring
our
another twist?
duty.
Another twist to
Yes.
that. I tell people that our marriages as husband and wife, husbands and wives all over the world, are the first
Yes.
example or definition of marriage our children will see. So
Correct.
if you are
Correct.
exhibiting bad character, personal vices and personal demons, the man coming home drunk, the wife talking
Yeah.
anyhow to her husband, our children are seeing. To
Yes.
them, you are painting the picture of what an ideal marriage should be. That's what they will think is what a marriage should be.
Yeah.
So it's not just enough because these days, like any other generation, children learn more by
Yes.
observation than what you tell them to do. So it shouldn't
Yes.
be do what I say, not what I do what I do. Whatever character you want your children to exhibit, you must be ready to epitomize it, to serve as a
Yes.
living example.
Yeah.
Because when you don't do that, eventually they are observing you. They see
Yeah.
that short mommy down,
And they're
mommy
absorbing
talk
it, they're
anyhow to
learning
daddy.
it.
They are
Consciously, unconsciously.
whether you are aware of it or not. In fact, there's a
Yes.
scientific finding. A scientific finding says whatever a child is exposed to from 0 to 5, as a baby to 5 years, stays with that child forever. We call it social conditioning. Every one of us are who we are. There's a trait.
Yes.
We are fundamentally the major trait we imbibe through the exposure of our nurturing while growing up.
Yes.
It's as we
Yes.
grow up that we see some things through personal growth and development, they begin to take them out. In fact, the issues we are dealing with are the things you imbibe while growing up. So
Yes.
as we look at our children, negative habit that you want to correct, because that's a potential husband, that's a potential
Yes.
wife.
Potential
You
wife.
yourself be the right example to them.
Yes.
And that will go a long way to cure this issue of marriage breaking here and there. I would like us to just take this final one before we close tonight. That also one of the things that make marriage break is lack of commitment. Lack of commitment. You see, I tell people, marriage is an unconditional commitment a man and a woman enter into as long as both of them shall live. And it's not commitment if it's convenient.
Convenient.
it's not commitment if it's convenient. A lot of
Correct.
inconveniencing situation will come in marriage, whether you like it or not. A lot of inconveniencing situation will come. One of the things that will keep you is that sense of commitment. Many people, the husband has pointed this out, the wife has. In fact, some women even know this is what I'm doing. I've been in sessions that and I asked, okay, in the light of these things we've done, these are this and that. We both agree that these are the things, and the only thing I could get is like, I don't have the energy to do it. And I said, and I hear people say, I don't think, and I see a lack of commitment. You see, you can't see. They say you can take a horse to the river, but you can't force a horse
Don't
to
force
drink.
the horse to. Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
one party or both parties have come to the point where they are no longer committed, no more effort, no more putting effort into that marriage, is a matter of time.
Marriage is not
soon
cheap.
gone.
Is hard work.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
So it's not
And we need to
commitment
put in
if it's
whatever.
convenient.
If it's convenient.
Yeah. So
It's
people must learn that,
convenient.
especially for singles that want to get married, marriage is a place that demands commitment.
Yeah.
Commitment means you are going to inconvenience yourself. And that is why, because whether you marry the right person or not, a lot of inconveniences will come. And that's why
Yes.
you want to marry the right person.
And for
Because
the right reasons.
you yourself being the right person and married for the right reason. Because whether you like it or not, if you marry an angel, you are going to come to inconvenient situations.
Yes.
It now becomes very difficult when you now marry somebody that is not right for you. That does not mean the person will not be right for another person. Or when you marry somebody that is not there at all, it now makes the work more difficult and tiring and overwhelming.
Yes.
So if you marry an angel, both of you are angels, you have a lot of commitment to put on the table.
Yes.
It takes commitment to stand by your man, for example, maybe during health challenges.
Yes.
I remember we've had our own batch of challenges. There was some time before we got married, after we got married, you were challenged health-wise. I remember the particular year that I was sick for throughout the year, the 12th year of the month. I was sick and
12 months of the year.
12 months of the year, I was sick. Even though I was still going up and down, but I know in my body that things are not well. I remember those days we went from one lab to the other. That's when you want to see the beauty of marriage, where companionship is on the table, and you love each other, go through thick and thin, in sickness, in health, in poverty. I remember during the days of my transition, when I went back to school, I was not earning any money per se. That at a point, I have to take it upon myself. Okay, fine. I need to be able to get something on the table, and I have to take up a job that was so low compared to what I was doing before, because I know that I must be committed. If I can't bring the major finances to the table at this point in time because I've gone back to school, at least I can bring something to support. So, and you were there, weathering the storm together with me.
Yeah.
Things are much better than what they used to be now.
Yes.
But you were there.
Yes.
So marriage will demand commitment. It will require commitment.
Yes.
And we've come to realize, another research finding, that what it takes to make a marriage work is always about 10 to 20% of what it takes to eventually have a divorce. These are findings. These are research findings. That, for example, if divorce is going to cost you $10 million, I'm just using for example, in terms of the legal fee, the cost of separation, the emotional, the psychological, and social impact of that divorce that you can't quantify in monetary terms. If you give it, let's say, give it a figure, it costs you 10 million naira, for example.
Yes.
The effort and the emotional demand that it will take to make that same marriage work is about 10%, about maybe 1 million naira to 10 million naira. But at the point of pain, people don't get to see it. But the emotional roller coaster, the psychological breakdown, the depression, the anxiety, the impact on the children, the impact on the society, on your social environment and community, your church, your finances, your health, is much more than what it takes to make it work. What it takes to make it work is the commitment that is required to make that marriage work. And it's not commitment if it's convenient.
If it's convenient,
So tonight, I know
and someone also said that, someone also said we must also have the mindset of our marriage will work. Definitely. You know, we have some people that are so pessimistic. I mean, so negative in the mindset.
Because it's your mind that drives everything you do.
Yes, exactly.
As you think, so you are.
Yes. So there's need to be positive. If that's really what you want to see. You want to see your marriage work, then you must have the right mindset about it. You must speak what you want to see. You must, there are affirmations. There are daily affirmations. There are things you need to say to yourself or speak into the atmosphere. Our words are our words are seeds. We speak them and we see
I want to
them.
read something that
You
I
know.
see here. Let me quickly say this. Somebody said, top doc therapist said, marriage is not cheap, it's hard work. That's the truth. Inspire underscore D underscore Aspire said, I hardly agree it is all about commitment. Now, I don't know when you join in to the conversation. We've mentioned a lot of things before we came to commitment. I know there's a lot of people that are committed to their relationship. No marriage can work by one person doing the work. It must be both
Correct.
ways. But what we are trying to say is that a marriage that there's commitment has the tendency to stand the test of time. Many
Yeah.
marriages are breaking today because one party or both parties are not committed. Commitment will cause you to do the work. Commitment will
Yes.
cause you to grow, to evolve, to change, to jettison those character traits that is maligning the stability of your marriage. So you can't talk about marriage, even if two angels marry. Commitment is key. Marriage itself is
There's still work
commitment.
to do. Yes.
Yes, marriage itself is
Marriage
commitment.
itself
So
is
you,
and is
you, you can't
responsibility.
rule out marriage. Even marriage that is working, that they have not having obvious issues, it's commitment that is
Yeah.
keeping them. You must
Yes.
be committed. So there's no way you want to look at it that. So we are not saying it's all about commitment. But if you look at it, for example, we've mentioned the issue of character. We mentioned the issue of unrealistic expectation. We mentioned the issue of communication. When I am committed, I will do all those things that is needed. And it's beautiful when the commitment is coming from both sides. And I also
Yes.
understand that the reason why a lot of people not bring it to the table is because probably they've tried and tried and tried, and they've come to their wit end. And that's why I also encourage people to seek professional counseling, to seek therapy, and that's what I offer as a certified professional mental health counselor and relationship and marriage therapist. That we sit down with couples. There are some issues that have gone beyond, they have gone too far, that both of you may not be able to resolve. You may want to sit with the counselor in a non-judgmental environment that will be objective, not taking side with either of you, but only taking side with the objective you bring to the table. It's taking side with your relationship. That is, this is about your relationship, not about both of you. There will be objective, and we'll call a spade, and not a farming implement. I don't know if that addressed what our participants said,
I
but thank
think
you
it
anyway for
does.
your
I think it
contribution.
does. Yeah.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you, sweetheart, for
I
the nice
have had a good
conversation.
time. I've had a great time with the
I think it's a
conversation.
beautiful way we started out my conversation back,
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
because we've left this Instagram live for some time because of the radio program. So I want to take this opportunity to let people know that I'm always on radio on Inspiration FM 92.3 every Monday night, 8 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Every Monday night, 8 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. on Inspiration FM 92.3. 92.3, and Married Conversation on Instagram that will be coming up every Friday from 8 p.m. I want you to watch out for subsequent editions that will be coming. So I want to say thank you so much, every one of you that have supported us in terms of being part of tonight's conversation, for your contributions. They are very, very important and very, very strong contributions you've made tonight. As I said earlier on, my name is Olaiwola Abiola. I am a certified professional mental health counselor. I deal with general mental health issues, but I have a specialization in relationship and marriage therapy. Speaking to husband and wives, intending and already married couples is what I do for life and for living. For me, it's a calling. I love love, and I love to see people do well in their relationship. And tonight, I've been supported by my one and only wife, a woman. These days you need
A
to
woman
say
indeed.
it, because you need
Not
to
a man.
say it the way it is. You need to, because in Ukraine, what goes on in
Correct.
Ukraine, they're asking the women and children to leave. So some women that have become men, they wanted to leave, to say, no, you are now man, you can't go.
Exactly.
So
You can't go.
these days you need to be clear
You need
on
to say it
what
to
to
be
say.
clear.
So my one and only wife, and I want to appreciate you, sweetheart. You've got a lot of insight
Thank
and
you for
perspective.
having me here.
It's great doing the reopening of Married Conversation on Friday night with you. Till we come your way
Thank you
next
so
week,
much.
friends, I want to say thank you so much, guys, for being part of
Thank
tonight.
you. Thank
And
you.
we are so glad.
Thank you for
So Married
joining us.
Conversation is back, and we are so glad to be here again. Join us next week, Friday. From me, sweetheart, love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye.